It's time for me to apostolize on Apostle. Hello and welcome to RotD Review of the Day, and today I am taking a look at the 2018 Netflix movie Apostle. I happened to come across this one in my queue. I thought, why not? And I've ultimately been fairly impressed with the Netflix originals in general. This one, it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. I just wasn't nearly as impressed with it as I thought I might be. And what I wound up with was a movie that was just way too long. It clocked in at 2 hours and 10 minutes and was just not nearly interesting enough for the concepts that it presented. So to get into a little bit more detail, let's get into the categories. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. And the plot of this one, I gave it 12 out of 25, fairly average. Basically what this movie is, it's set in the early 1900s, and a man is sent on a quest to pay the ransom and rescue his sister from this group of cultist fanatics. And in the journey of doing so, what he finds is a very geographically isolated colony on an island, and within it is this kind of religious sect, and he manages to integrate himself within it as a means of securing his safety while he tries to figure out how to pay the ransom or not, and ultimately how to rescue his sister from this group. And some supernatural things, some otherworldly things start happening around him as he's trying to figure this out. And the movie takes off from there. I'm not going to get into spoiler territory or anything. But what I found more than anything else was that this was really, really a strong start with missed opportunities afterward. It started out just with the character reacting to situations in a very intelligent manner and keeping himself cloaked while still being out in the open. And I thought that the level of detail that was brought to that was very, very impressive. And it ultimately had me captivated. It's okay, well, now you got me, movie. So show me what you got. And what it wound up turning into was nothing more than just some elaborate chasing and spoon feeding of information about what's actually going on this island. For a character that played it so smart and spent his first night basically going around from one building to the other within this community and drawing out a map so that he has, there was just a lot of intelligence played to it. And I really thought that they could have done a lot more using that concept and using that character and using that sense of intelligence to reveal the information about what's going on the island, as opposed to, well, now I'm in a stuck place and I happen to be friends with this person, so they're just going to spill it. It just seemed like a little bit of a waste there. And likewise, there were some plot developments that happened that I also felt were just missed opportunities. At one point, through happenstance that I'm not going to get into details on, he manages to gain the trust of the leader of this cultist group. And they really didn't wind up doing anything with that. It was, okay, well, you have my trust, brother. And it just kind of fell apart immediately afterward. So, I mean, everything that captivated me about this movie at the beginning just kind of sputtered out. And it was just a darn shame. And from a plotline perspective, I gave it a 12 out of 25. The intent, I lowered even a little bit further. I gave it 10 out of 25 for not only the reasons that I mentioned before, but ultimately where we wound up was this movie wasn't scary in the slightest, and it was supposed to be. And the characters, where they wound up, just wasn't terribly interesting to me. The main character, I liked where it started, but there was absolutely no development. It was all a singular note for everybody throughout. And it just, for 2 hours and 10 minutes to kind of be going through the paces of these one-note characters through this storyline that wound up spoon-feeding information, and all the attempts at scares kind of fell flat, I'm a little disappointed. So 10 out of 25 for the intent. The acting, I gave a 14 out of 25. I thought the performances that were given were very good, But again, it was all very one note. You had a lot of circumstances happening here. You had, tragedy, you had hope, you had love, you had death, you had terror, and it seems like everybody hit the same note all the way through without a whole lot of deviation from it. Very stilted. What they did well, but that's all they did. So 14 out of 25. And the technical, I gave a 20 out of 25. That was the most impressive part of this movie by a long shot. The setting was great. The community was just really well established. The camera angles were really, really good. The color palette, everything, the special effects, everything about this movie on a technical level was actually really impressive, and I don't have a lot of complaints about it. Which ultimately, I think, in my mind, made the lack of points on the plot and the characters and so forth all shine, or put a spotlight on those all the more. We had this grand intention and we pulled it off on a technical level. Well, what happened before you started rolling them cameras and you were had the script in hand? What the heck happened? So that's ultimately just kind of where I wound up with this movie. It gets a total of 56 out of 100 points. Just not a lot remarkable about it, other than the beauty of the shots. And I don't think that is worth sitting down for 2 hours and 10 minutes to view. So this is definitely not one that I would recommend. If you want to watch it, I'm not going to talk you out of it. This is not one that I will dissuade anybody on, but it's certainly not going to be something that I go to my friends and I say, hey, have you checked out Apostle? It's just not. So at this point, I would really like to welcome your opinions on it. Please leave comments below. If you agree or disagree with me, I would love to hear from you. If you like these videos, please click subscribe. And otherwise, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.